ॐ वाङ्मे मनसि प्रतिष्ठिता मनो मे वाचि प्रतिष्ठितम् आविराविर्म एधि वेदस्य महाणीस्थ श्रुतं मे मा प्रहासीः अनेनाधीतेनाहोरात्रान् सन्दधामि ऋतं वदिष्यामि सत्यं वदिष्यामि तन्मामवतु तद्वक्तारमवतु अवतु माम् अवतु वक्तारमवतु वक्तारम् ॐ शान्ति शान्ति शान्तिः Om. May my speech be firmly established in my mind. May the mind too be firmly established in my speech. May there be perfect correspondence between my thoughts, words, and actions. May the truths of the scriptures shine forth in my life. May not what I learn from them ever forsake me. Let me live my life day and night according to their teachings. I shall speak what is appropriate. I shall speak the truth. May that protect me. May that protect the teacher. Om. Peace, peace, peace. Let us feel our shapes are all dissolved. The outlines which make for our shapes is getting blurred. Like the ice cubes kept in hot sun, their shapes, they dissolve. So also our mistakenly perceived limited identities are dissolved. Into supreme, unchanging, one without second, luminous totality. I am that. truly infinite. I am ever free. I am beyond time and space. I am untouched by desires. I am untouched by mortality. Om. Peace, peace, peace. So, dear friends, let us begin today's discussion on this great biography of Sri Ramakrishna. In Bengali, originally it was titled Sri Ramakrishna Leela Prasang, and in English translation, an older one was called Sri Ramakrishna the Great Master, and this is a new one that is titled Sri Ramakrishna and his Divine Play. So let us begin this class with the regular prayers, opening chant from Srimad Bhagavatam. Tava kathamritam tapta jivanam kavibhiriditam kalmashapaham Shravanamangalam Srimadattatam Bhuvi Granante te Bhurida Janaha. So, this prayer mentions that those who narrate the life stories of these great incarnations of God, their Leela, their play, their divine sport, they are the greatest givers of mankind. The greatest gifts given to mankind are these, that the stories, the tales about God. God appearing as man and acts as man, but it is a sport. Also, how does it help us? Because through their lives they show the true nature of theirs, that they are, although apparently human beings, in core they are divine. And thus that we can reflect on ourselves. Yes, although I am very much troubled by all these limitations that I feel, these limitations are not my true nature. All these which tend to restrict my eternal freedom, that is all extraneous. These forms like my body or the mental form like my mind, they are not my nature. And thus I become free from all difficulties, problems, sufferings. It is this we see in them, and from that we learn. So therefore, this, since it removes the lacuna or the problems of human life forever, they are the greatest givers, those who bring us the lives of such great incarnations of Lord. And we have been seeing in this book, today we will be starting the new chapter, chapter 4, early manifestations of his power as a guru. As a guru, how Sri Ramakrishna's powers were manifest right from the early life. In earlier chapters, in last close to 2 years or 2 years, we have been seeing that how Sri Ramakrishna is on this plane called Bhava Mokha, the state where on one hand he is aware of the infinite dimension that each of us has. Each of us has an infinite dimension with us. And then there is he had access to that, as well as he had access to this world of names and forms like us. And that being on these both planes gave him the unique ability to teach. Like every teacher has the unique ability by being at the level of student and also at the level that is not at the moment reachable by the student. That is how the teacher takes the student from where he or she is to a level that is where the student wants to reach and illumine the life. So this is how we see the incarnations of God work. If the student and teacher are permanently at the same level, of course the student will understand the teacher, no doubt. But then there is no elevation, there is no evolution. Both are at the same level. They keep on just discussing each other's similar experiences. So therefore the student does not increase in knowledge. And if the teacher is always at a much elevated level, then will not be able to communicate with student will not be able to connect to it. As I tell a nice story sometimes, that a big engineer was always had at that top level of engineering knowledge. So, had a little 3-4 year child, and the child was playing in the weather was warm, and so a ceiling fan was running. And out of curiosity, the child asked, Dad, how does this fan move? And the father thought, wow, my child, wonderful. At this young age, he has the curiosity to know all these things. That is the child of a topmost engineer. Great. So immediately he started explaining all about how the electric forces and magnetic forces, how they come together there, what is that engine and how that moves. The child naturally after 3 minutes lost complete interest. Maybe not even 3 minutes. So lost complete interest in that and got busy in the play. The dad kept on lecturing, and after about half an hour he asked the child, hey my boy, so you understood now how the fan moves? Yeah, Dad, I understood. Because of the breeze, the fan moves, you see. So that because nothing wrong with the child, at that child's level, only this much could be understood. So because that child sees because of the breeze, things move. So the fan moves because of the breeze. So that is how it happens if you are not able to come down to the level of the student. So one has to learn to come down to the student's level and also not remain there. From student's level, you have to, along with the student, you have to get to the higher level where the student wants to go. So that is how we all want to get over our sufferings. Now, the teacher therefore comes to our level, shows the basic problem because of which we get suffering. It is not easy to understand and much more difficult to accept, even if we understand it. We always feel that because of these people in the world, we are suffering here. Because these people behave like this, that is the cause of my suffering. Or because of the bacteria, I get sickness and that makes me suffer. I also, if I do not know or pinpoint the right cause, I say, well, it is God. Because of this, God did like this. I am suffering. God is responsible. Destiny is responsible. All those things are causing pain to me. The real cause is never seen by us. The real reason is our ignorance about who we really are and what this world is about. Our ignorance about it becomes the cause of our suffering. And so, when teacher like Sri Ramakrishna comes to us, we see that teacher and we see that in spite of all the situation that the person is in, like we are in, we are on the same plane from that angle. All those problems that, for example, there is no enough money, money is rarely enough, Always we think a little more would have been better. But you see that with such incarnations, you see that they also are visited quite often with various diseases. they also come across various bereavements. They also face the ill treatment from others. All those things like we have, exactly like that, even they also have. And yet, they do not get affected by that at all in their that their nature remains still blissful. They are still happy. They do not suffer in spite of pain. Pain and pleasure come to us, but suffering depends on our disposition, how we take it. I was explaining one day, there was one of our Swami, and I too recently experienced similar phenomena, that in a milder way. So he fell down and had hip bone surgery. So, and the surgery and all went fine. He was writing his experiences every day and used to email everybody. I also used to receive. So, he said that is the best way, because I am getting so many inquiries and calls and all that, it is a bit impossible to talk to everybody. So, I am writing this and sending to all. So, he said after the surgery is over, the physical therapy began, and the physical therapist would come and would twist the leg and all in such a way, excruciating pain it would cause. He writes in a funny way, as soon as I would see him entering the room, I would get scared. Now, what will happen? The pain. But then he said, but I cannot say that was not doing good to me. It was bringing lot of relief and lot of cure to me in spite of the pain. So the pain was there, that cannot be rejected. Pain is there, but suffering is not there. Because you see that this is a curative process. This is going to heal you. This pain is going to heal you, and thus you do not suffer. In fact, you pay to go to the physical therapist, you say. You pay. Do you go to a place for suffering? No, even if it is given free, you don't do it, unless it is through ignorance. In ignorance that happens to us, we suffer. Because in ignorance, we think that something else is going to make me happy, and I go there looking for happiness. Nobody is looking to buy suffering, you see. We all go thinking that is what is going to make me happy. But there is no happiness there. In fact, instead of happiness, we get a big disappointment. And that is the suffering that we all have. Swami Vivekananda mentions this in the first page of his book Karma Yoga. An excellent, short reading, Karma Yoga. He says that if we analyze the cause of all our sufferings, we will be able to say that the cause was we thought pleasure to be our goal. We went to get pleasure. And it would be, natural that if we go to get happiness, we should get happiness. Pleasure is a harbinger of happiness, as it were. So that is how we go to get things that are apparently pleasant, wanting to be happy. And Swami Vivekananda mentions, but because of ignorance, they look like giving happiness, but they are totally opposite of that. They bring suffering to us. So, these incarnations of God, they at our plane. So we see that they are happy. In whatever situation they are in, they are not touched by it so far as their inner happiness goes. They are happy. It is the situations, they keep on shifting, changing. And like we have sometimes very bad storm, sometimes it is sunny, sometimes it is very hot, sometimes it is very cold. And it is, my predecessor used to say that about the month of May, that it may be very cold, it may be very hot. In the month of May, it may be snowing, it may be raining, it may be dry. Anything may be in May, and that is why the month gets called May. So it is May. And so, but there is, all these things do not touch the happiness or the inner bliss of that being. It is like gold. Even if gold falls into, say, some garbage, yet the garbage does not destroy the goldness. If you wash, that's it. It is gold. It is very resistant to the attacks of weather and most of the acids. Nothing reacts quickly with gold. And so it remains gold, even if covered by so many things. So Sri Ramakrishna knew that gold. And so he would always tell us, look at this and reflect on yourself. We look and reflect on what we are doing and thus learn. Just now, a little while ago, I was looking at how to put a SIM card in the new phone. So I put on a video. I was looking at it and looking at the phone. So looking like that, by reflecting, then you learn. So it is exactly like that. Do you get it, Pratish? That look at how they do and how they live, and thus reflect it. Well, what is the problem then with me? And thus you see that that is what I must do. And thus my life also would be full of bliss. That is the way this would go. It is, you see, this life of Sri Ramakrishna is exemplification of that. He is in that, what is mentioned, Bhava Mukha, that he has this dimension of infinity very much present in his awareness. So it is an example, an analogy is given about this, that look, the relation of ocean to all the waves. A relation, an ocean is there, and infinitely many waves are rising and falling on that ocean. Now, how will be the awareness of ocean about each of these waves? So, that is how Sri Ramakrishna would be feeling about all of us, all manifestations. So, in every wave, there is the part of the ocean. In fact, the wave is just an appearance. It comes, it rises, it falls, and it is continuously changing. It may begin at a very small, a tiny thing. It grows, becomes big, may become very high, and then reaches its peak, starts falling down. Everything that we experience around is like that. It begins, it grows, it reaches its peak, then the downslide begins, and then one day it is gone. So, this is like a wave, but something that is the sum and substance of that wave, that does not go. And when we become aware of that as our true nature, then the scenario completely changes for us. That the situation regarding, say, health, or the financial issues, or the family problems, and so many other emotional things, that does not bother us, even if they come to us. They will come to us, like we see in Sri Ramakrishna. What these episodes of misfortune visited him more than they visit to common person. And yet, he could not even for a second forget his true infinite nature, because of which he didn't suffer. Another meaning of Leela is like a play. In a play, in a stage show, you take up a role. You don't identify with the role in the sense, even if a John Smith is performing Macbeth, on the stage he would be just acting like Macbeth. But inside his awareness is always this: I am John Smith. For a couple of hours, I am this Macbeth. That's it. And then takes off all the makeup and all that, and then goes out as John Smith. While the stage show is going on, even if somebody in the audience says to him, "Hey John, how are you doing?" he won't respond, because then that will spoil all the play, you see. So there on the stage, he is Macbeth. But beyond that, he is actually John Smith. So when he is down from the stage, if you call him, "Hey Macbeth," he won't again say, "No, I am John Smith. I acted as Macbeth, and tomorrow I am going to act as Hamlet." So it is, he is neither Hamlet nor Macbeth, he is John Smith. So exactly like that, each of us is Brahman, divine. Only thing is, we get identified with the role and start thinking that I am so and so. I was born at this on this date. This is my age. This is my gender. This is my skill set. This is the job I do. This is the school I go, and so forth. These are my friends. These are my enemies. We identify with our role in the play. But the play, it is over soon. So Sri Ramakrishna is knowing that this is Leela. That is why the lives of God incarnations like Krishna Rama, Jesus, it is all Leela, means play. They are not identifying themselves with that superficial identity. They identify only with the real, the true, unchanging nature of them. And looking at them, we also gradually get the sense that, oh, so that is my identity as well. And our lives start changing. So this is what the Guru does. This is not a Guru in the sense of a teacher in the school. A teacher in the school teaches a particular topic, and just it is enough if the student intellectually understands it. It is neither thought of or even understood that that is going to change the whole perception of the student. Like a teacher teaching geography, for example, it gives the knowledge of geography, and that's about it. They and ask the students, where have you understood? Gives tests to see how far they have understood. Uses lot of different techniques to make those things understood by this student. All that is fine at one level, the level of transmission of secular knowledge. With spiritual knowledge, not that all that is included in giving the secular knowledge is gone. Most of it is retained, but a very important, very big dimension gets added to it. That this spiritual knowledge is a very small aspect of it is intellectual understanding. It is getting seeped into your being and transforming your life. It is transformation of the life. Life gets transformed. It takes time depending on how quickly the person is able to grasp that in the soul and change the life. It is like a person going in the wrong direction and therefore suffering. Driving but in the wrong direction. Now comes to understand that, well, that is not the correct direction. The other day we did like that, didn't listen to the GPS. We instead of, yes, Vishwanath was there, so he is laughing, that Jitendra also was there. So it is, and then we took, instead of taking 20 west, we took 20 east. And so it is, so when we understood, after going for quite some time, as we understood, then, well, now we have to come out of it. The course has to be changed. And so we took the right course as soon as we understood. That is the meaning of understanding, you see. If the understanding is right. Otherwise, what happens normally if the understanding is just intellectual? Yes, I understand that God alone is real. Everything is just a passing show. But that understanding being just intellectual, it does not have an impact on life. Our life is just still continuing to run after the so-called pleasures, instead of changing the direction of life. So therefore, it is the first thing that you have to do is gradually press the brakes. That well, you can't be going on the wrong direction. Stop, you see. It is, and then find out the right course. So it is, you cannot go on in the wrong direction and expect the right results. So when one knows the life shifts, that is called in scriptures that nivritti means you start going now in a a reverse direction. Pravritti is a word that is about the life of the ignorant people. They are propelled by the desires, and thus they go after them, that I want this, and one after other, like children, they take one toy, then no, let me have another one. It goes on. As you grow up, the same tendency remains, only the toys become different, that's all. Nothing much changes. It is so. This is the life. When we see that this is wrong, all happiness is actually within me. So the tendency to go in that direction, to grab various things, gets controlled, stopped, and then you see you start going in the right direction. So this is called nivritti. So the whole mechanism changes, as therefore many teachers of meditations, one of our Swamis used to tell it very often, that therefore spiritual life is reversing the brain chemistry, that the brain prompts us to go out and grab. Instead, see, the brain now is not interested in those things. It starts learning meditation, starts learning to seek within. And see, that is a very important step. So, the lives of such great incarnations, they teach in such a way that the message goes deeper. This message of Sri Ramakrishna's life is not for giving lectures, being a scholar of different scriptures, but to change one's life. It is, let us now start reading this 4th chapter, early manifestations of his power as a guru. And as is this inimitable style of Swami Saradananda is that he quotes from Bhagavad Gita or other scriptures in the beginning of the chapter. For last 3 chapters we saw that he began with a quote from Bhagavad Gita, that it's a very important thing to see this quote. The quote here, it is, the translation is given: "Fools disregard me when I assume a human form, for they are unaware of my higher nature as the Supreme Lord of all beings. Avajananti mam mudha manushim tanumashritam param bhavam ajananto mama bhuta maheshwaram." So, this God appears as human being. Now, we see that as a regular, ordinary human being, and therefore insult it, disregard it, and do not see my true Param Bhava, the supreme divine nature that is hidden under the garb of this superficial human form. You see the form and thus disregard the content. This is how ignorant people get cheated. They get deluded by the superficial form and thus they come to grief. This is what is indicated here, that the Paramabhava, the supreme nature, is not understood. Sri Krishna, people did not understand. He was thought of as only in the childhood as a cowherd boy, or as a friend, as a wonderful, in spite of all the manifestations of divine, they could not really see this. And just looking at the superficial human form, they insulted, sometimes made fun of that person. In fact, in Bhagavad Gita, Arjuna, while seeing that universal form of Sri Krishna, in the 11th chapter says, "Oh, please forgive me. I thought that you are just like my friend, and I have said so many things out to you, like friends say, pull each other's legs and so forth, make fun of each other, use bad language, all that. You see, I did it to you, thinking of you just as my friend. Please forgive me for that, for I now see that you are not that. You are the infinite self residing in the hearts of all." That is how we see in the life of Sri Ramakrishna as well. Most people, looking only at the form, would think of him as an unlettered person, somehow doing a little job at this Kali temple, and would insult him, and because of his behavior would think that he is insane. For us, sanity means if people are doing exactly what I am doing, then they are sane, because then I can relate through the cause and effect that what they are doing is proper, because that is my idea is to get more money. And so if somebody does similar things to get more money, harbors similar ideal, then I say, yeah, he's a sane person, practical person, wise person. Sri Ramakrishna, exactly opposite, abhors money. If we have, say, the prospect of somebody bringing lot of profit to us monetarily, we welcome that person. We treat that person very nicely. We show lot of humility. We pander to the whims of that person, because that person is going to bring some prosperity, some money in my life. Sri Ramakrishna went to beat that person. That's the opposite. They see the brain chemistry is reversed. When the owner of the temple came to give him money and write some land in his name so that his expenses are met. So when he saw Mathur Babu coming like that, he took a stick and went to beat him. "Get out, you rascal," he says. So that is why he is seen as insane. They do not understand that behind this human garb is the infinite divine awareness covered by it. So that is how the problem is with the divine incarnations. They are perplexed. If they do not show the human characteristics, then people will not be able to identify with them. They are God, It is God means not like us. So, this is what happens with people. Naturally, our religion, therefore, is like that. That have some images or some this thing of God, and we keep them in the shrine somewhere, nicely decorated altar, and we put them on the altar. We offer sandal paste and flowers and all that. You be there and will let us get on with our lives differently. You and I are not same. I don't imitate you. I don't follow you. You are God there. You be in the heaven, and we are earthly beings. Just keep on showering your blessings on us in the form of more prosperity, good health, good family, and all the objects of enjoyments. That is what we pray, Many, whatever their religion may be, they pray if there is an important match going on, like here people are very much this thing into this baseball or football, and they pray, may my team win, and may Patriots win Super Bowl. So they offer prayers for that, because that is, it is how we think that the God from there can influence our lives. So we pray for those things. But we do not want to build our lives so that we can see our own divinity. It is, this is where the difference comes. So, Swami Saradananda, the author of this book, a direct disciple of Sri Ramakrishna, and who has done this work of putting in the biography of Sri Ramakrishna in an unsurpassable manner. The whole idea of Sri Ramakrishna's advent, and how his life, combined with the awareness with which the actions are done, both are narrated in this biography. It is not a regular biography at all, and we had discussed that before in our classes. So I won't take much time about telling you that, but here he begins. One can see the manifestations of the power as a guru in the master's life. It is page 459. One can see the manifestations of the power as a guru in master's life from his very childhood, but it became fully developed in his youth after he attained Nirvikalpa Samadhi. Let no one think that we are exaggerating in order to glorify Sri Ramakrishna when we say that his power as a guru became apparent during his childhood. No one who impartially studies the master's life will have any need to exaggerate. Those people who critically analyze the events of the master's wonderfully unique life will ultimately find their power of judgment baffled, stupefied, and spellbound. We also had no lack of doubts, and we think that at present no one would dare to test and investigate the master as we did. This is a very important thing, that all these young disciples of Sri Ramakrishna, they didn't go to Sri Ramakrishna initially to become his disciples. And so, when they saw Sri Ramakrishna, they first decided to put him to test. Is it really like that? Is this samadhi a true experience of his? Or many charlatans and magicians and whatnot, they show many such things. So, for years and years, during the day, during the night, during his healthy days and during his terribly sick days, they analyzed his actions, examined him thoroughly. Now, at that time, Sri Ramakrishna was not accepted in society as God incarnate. So they were free to do all these testings. Now, why he says now many worship Sri Ramakrishna as God incarnate, and so they will not dare to do it for the fear of incurring the wrath of Sri Ramakrishna. Although Sri Ramakrishna always encouraged them to test me. See how far can you go in testing me. And thus we read so many incidents about Sri Ramakrishna's disciples testing him thoroughly from all different angles, and having tested that, they were left with no alternative but to see for themselves that how here is the guruhood, the teachership itself manifested in this form. And even from the childhood there are these manifestations of being a teacher. Sri Ramakrishna himself said that, and with that this paragraph ends, that and we will stop here. It often happened that many of us who doubted the master and challenged him were defeated, and we had to hang our heads in shame. We have already narrated some examples earlier in this book. See the third volume, second chapter, pages 43 to 56. It is in the other volume. It is called the Sri Ramakrishna as a spiritual aspirant, sadhaka bhava. So in the previous chapters you can see that. So there's many such things have been narrated there. So Sri Ramakrishna himself said many times that all the actions performed by, he used to, because of that lack of ego, he was not even able to say the word I in the regular sense of the term. So he would show his body like we would show somebody else. He would show that this very body and say all the actions here, they are for the education, for the learning of the people around. So that was right from childhood. We see how his various actions really were performed for the illumination of those who were around. So we shall see gradually every Tuesday these things more and more. Any questions you have about today's discussion? Yes, please, Charlie.
Yeah, I have obstacles to meditation and japa, so how can I let this seep in? Because I don't do that much of them because of these obstacles.
Well, it is a learning curve. You do to some extent, and that will make you do to gradually to more extent. It is one builds spiritual strength. We all begin at wherever we are. Mm. And gradually build up that strength where we will be able to do more and more. It is true that, for example, I can easily identify with you uh, some years back. Some means maybe about 45 years ago. I too had the similar idea that how this meditation is an impossibility. How can one meditate? But uh, now 45 years is not in a way small amount of life, more than half of the average human life. So gradually you see things shifting, changing, and the result of that also becomes apparent in life. It is as your life becomes more meditative, indrawn, you are still working outside. You are not idle, and yet you, because of that touch of the God within, your life is not filled with the all the external concerns at all. You work for that, but you are not affected by that. Your nature becomes more blissful, more accommodating, more loving. It is the idea of condemning and being upset and angry, those things gradually start falling off. So, this is a gradual progress that one makes. So, keep at it, dear. Keep on, and you will see the results coming in your life too. Yeah. Anything else? Yes, Naomi? Well, it is whether it is good or bad. Our we pleasures. Let us make it. It is not a very correct correspondence, but for the in the reference of your question, we can think of it like that. That the good karmas manifest as the pleasant things in your life, and the bad karmas manifest as sufferings in your life or the painful incidents in your life. It is, please, this is not the truth, friends. But for the just present argument, let us take it to understand the phenomena. So, what happens? The pleasantries, they fall away quickly. The painful things remain for us for a long time. It is, and that goes down and creates a feeling of guilt, which becomes a terrible psychological problem. So, therefore, the antidote is that keep on remembering your pure, pristinely divine nature, and which is untouched by all karma. Also, it is good to remember that nobody learns without committing mistakes. So, let us not be afraid of doing mistakes. I mean, we should not deliberately go and do mistakes, but we should not be scared of doing things because the fear of failure or fear of some mistake I may commit and there will be wrong. one should be certainly cautious, but should go forward for using it. I remember one of our Swamis, he still has very degenerative eye disease, and he was losing vision. So, after his one surgery, he asked the doctor, so should he continue to read or should not read? The doctor said, read by all means. That is what the eyes are for. Otherwise, if you do not use those instruments, what is even the point in keeping them healthy? It is, I like that idea. It is a very positive thing, It is, even if you are going to make mistakes, give it a try. Without mistake, nobody ever learns. If you are not doing something for the fear of making mistake, that is a bigger mistake that we are committing, you see. So do it courageously. And you will see, at that time you get the glimpse that God is with you. Which is truth, but we do not see that. It is truth that God never forsakes us, just as the ocean never forsakes the wave. So God cannot by the very nature forsake us. We become aware when through mistakes we learn and give a better direction to our life. So this is how one must take it in a very smiling way. That is don't be bothered by that guilt feeling. It is, do not harbor it. Those things keep on coming. They remain on our awareness like the scars of the old wounds. But learn to overcome them. And therefore, the practice of meditation, practice of getting, actively engaged in doing good works is very important. So, we shall conclude with the closing prayers. All of you are aware that I hope that next weekend, Saturday and Sunday, we have very special program. An international Ayurvedic conference is organized by us in collaboration with Brown University and University of Massachusetts in Dartmouth. So you can join those conferences. Earlier it was said that to attend the conference in Dartmouth, yesterday was the last date to register with concession, $20. From today it was going to be $30, but we have decided to keep it $20 throughout, because our center was closed and the information could not be disseminated to most people. So if you want to join, please feel free to join the conference on Saturday at UMass Dartmouth, and for on Sunday the first part at Brown University from 11 to 3 o'clock, and then from 4:30 onwards here in Vedanta Society. May the Divine, who is Father in heaven of the Christians, Holy One of the Jewish faith, Allah of the Muslims, Buddha of the Buddhists, Tao of the Taoists, Great Spirit of the Native Americans, Ahura Mazda of the Zoroastrians and Brahman of the Hindus, lead us from the unreal to the real, from darkness to light, from death to immortality. May the all-loving being manifest himself unto us and grant us abiding understanding and all-consuming divine love. Peace, peace, peace be unto all.